Imagine standing on the edge of America, staring across a narrow strip of icy water at Russia. So close you could almost shout to someone on the other side. But what if I told you that sometimes you don't even need a boat, you could just walk over? That's right. The United States and Russia aren't separated by vast oceans like you might think. They're practically neighbors, with a gap so tiny it could change how you see the world map forever. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll discover how these two superpowers are connected in ways that involve frozen bridges, time travel, and one of the loneliest towns on Earth. It's a story that'll make you rethink borders and blow your mind. Let's zoom in on the Bering Strait, that chilly waterway slicing between Alaska and Siberia. This isn't some massive divide. It's narrow enough in spots to see from one side to the other on a clear day. But the real magic happens with two little specks of land called the Diomede Islands, plunked right in the middle like forgotten stepping stones. These twins are just 2.4 miles apart, closer than many people live from their nearest grocery store. One belongs to the US, the other to Russia, and together they mark the shortest distance between the two countries' mainlands. Picture this. You're on American soil, waving at Russian territory, without even raising your voice too loud. It's wild how something so simple hides in plain sight, right? Most folks have no idea this exists, but once you know, you'll never look at a globe the same way. Now, let's talk about Little Diomede, the American one. This rugged island is home to a tiny village called Diomede, where life feels like stepping back in time. With only about 82 residents, it's one of the most isolated spots in the entire United States. These hardy people live off the land and sea, hunting seals and fishing in the harsh Arctic waters. No roads connect them to the mainland. Everything comes by plane or boat when the weather allows. Imagine waking up every day to crashing waves, endless tundra views, and the knowledge that your closest foreign neighbor is just a stone's throw away. The kids go to a one-room school, and the whole community pitches in to survive the brutal winters where temperatures plunge way below freezing. It's a place where self-reliance isn't a choice, it's a way of life. But here's where it gets even cooler. That Russian island next door, Big Diomede, is a ghost town in comparison. No civilians live there. It's strictly military territory, with Russian personnel keeping watch over frozen horizon. The contrast is stark. One side buzzing with quiet village life, the other a silent outpost under the radar. What really amps up the intrigue is wintertime in the Bering Strait. When the cold hits hard, that 2-mile stretch of water doesn't just chill, it freezes solid, forming a natural ice bridge between the two islands. Yeah, you heard that right. For a few months each year, you could theoretically lace up your boots and trek from America to Russia on foot. Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds. The ice can be treacherous, cracking under pressure or shifting with the winds. Border patrols on both sides make sure no one's casually strolling across without permission. But the idea alone is thrilling. Think about it. Two nations, locked in history's biggest rivalries, connected by a temporary frozen path. Explorers and adventurers have dreamed of this for centuries. And during the Cold War, it must have felt like a tense game of chicken. Stories from locals hint at rare crossings in the past, maybe for trade or emergencies. But today it's mostly legend. Still, that ice bridge reminds us how nature doesn't care about politics. It just does its thing, linking worlds we think are world apart. But wait! There's an even bigger twist that turns this into a sci-fi adventure. Smack in the middle of these islands runs the international date line, that invisible boundary where today becomes tomorrow. Because of how it's drawn, Little Diomede and Big Diomede are separated by a whopping 21-hour time difference. If you're on the US side and somehow cross over to Russia, you're not just entering another country, you're jumping into the future. You gain almost a full day, making you feel like a real-life time traveler. Going the other way, you'd rewind time, stepping back into yesterday. It's mind-bending stuff, isn't it? Sailors and pilots have to adjust their clocks mid-journey, and the islands even have nicknames. Little Diomede is Yesterday Island, while Big Diomede is Tomorrow Island. This quirk comes from how the date line zigzags to avoid splitting countries, but here it creates a perfect paradox. Imagine celebrating New Year's Eve on one side, then hopping over to do it all again the next day. It's not just geography. It's a loophole in time itself that few places on Earth can claim. Diving deeper, this closeness has sparked all sorts of wild ideas over the years. Back in the 1800s, when America bought Alaska from Russia for a steal $7.2 million, or about 2 cents an acre, folks didn't realize how strategic this spot would become. During World War II, the islands were on high alert, with fears of invasions across the strait. And in modern times, climate change is shaking things up. Warmer waters mean the ice bridge forms less reliably, affecting wildlife and the villagers' way of life. Polar bears roam these frozen links, and whales migrate through, making it a hotspot for nature's drama. Yet, despite the proximity, visits between the two sides are rare visas diplomacy and the sheer remoteness keep it that way. But dreamers talk about a future tunnel or bridge connecting the continents, turning this narrow gap into a gateway for trade and travel. Could you imagine driving from New York to Moscow? It's far-fetched, but the Diomedes prove it's not impossible. Wrapping this up, the Diomede Islands aren't just dots on a map. They're a reminder of how connected our world really is, even when politics try to pull us apart. From a frozen bridge that lets you walk between superpowers to the time-warping date line that bends reality, this hidden gem in the Bering Strait packs more surprises than meets the eye. Next time you glance at a map, zoom in on that spot and remember, America and Russia are closer than you think, sometimes just a frosty stroll away. If this blew your mind, hit that like button, subscribe for more hidden history gems, and drop a comment. Would you brave the ice to time travel? Thanks for watching till the end. You're now in on one of the planet's coolest secrets.